Patrick Royce, Sky Yuma, row the boat. I mean, those Nebraska Cornhuskers never had a chance.
Gophers were 7.5 at kickoff, and they should have been up about 17-0 at halftime, and it was 3-0 somehow. Once again, Fleck played down to the opposition with his bore-ass offense, trying to run the ball when they couldn't run the ball. It's going to be interesting to see how he coaches without a running game. 55 yards on the ground last night. When do you think's the last time a Gopher team only had 55 yards rushing? I cannot recall that. Mace certainly never had one of those because all they did was run the ball. And I don't know, maybe Coach Brewster had a 10-yard game sometime or something. But it was, I tweeted 1 hour before he lost the game for him that I still had confidence that Jeff Sims was going to win the game for the Gophers, and he did. He is terrible. How did you end up with, he can run a little bit, but they went to the transfer portal to find, there's about 50 quarterbacks that change jobs in this transfer portal. And Notre Dame got Sam Hartman, the kid from Wake Forest, who was a Heisman Trophy candidate. And these guys went to the ACC and raided Georgia Tech for this guy Sims, who can't throw the ball. He can run a little bit, but I think they were better off when they had one of the Martinez's, which they had for about 7 years. They had them, and they never won any big games for them, but. They didn't throw any worse than this guy.
No, and the touchdown was a total fluke because it's the play where they tried the lateral play and it bounced back to him like a basketball, and the guy was wide open. You would have had to work to miss that kid in the end zone and not get a touchdown.
And my theory is if he hadn't double dribbled it, the guy wouldn't have been wide open.
Correct.
But all of a sudden you're defensive back and you see the guy dribble in the football, you probably give up on the receiver you were supposed to be chasing on the trick play, because it was a slow developing trick play. But the only time they scored off Joe Rossi's defense was their only touchdown. They kicked a field goal. Mm-hmm. They had 280 yards or something like that. Gophers had 251. This was a game, you got to be my age, but this was a game that would have brought tears to the eyes of Murray Warmath and Purdue's Jack Mollenkopf when they were both known to punt on third down in one of their tough games, because they didn't want to have anything bad in case they had to fumble the punt and fall on it. They still wanted to be able to punt on fourth down. This looked like a Jack Mollenkopf, Murray Warmath battle in the 1950s. So
Matt Rule might want to consider exactly that this season. Third down, just say, screw it, let's just punt, let's pin them.
That's right. But here's what they said on the broadcast, and you heard it on the telecast, that the guy who fumbled got benched because he fumbled so much in spring ball, right? That they stopped playing him. So if you got your guy with the fumbling problem, why are you using him in that situation? Why aren't you using a guy who you say put both hands on the ball and run with your head down like the fullbacks used to? Why would you use the guy who's known for fumbling? Now, it was a nice play by the Gopher. He kind of punched it out there. But I would say the great term ball security was very important to Nebraska at that point in the game, right? Because you're going to perhaps kick a field goal and put the game away.
If you lose the ball 4 times, which the Cornhuskers did, you don't deserve to win too. So screw them.
No. I agree with you. It was a great catch by Jackson in the end zone. The Gopher left tackle did get away with about 7 false starts. I don't quite know how that works, but including on that play. But apparently that's the new thing, and they give the lineman a half a second or a second to. Be early. I don't know. It seems like they don't call that as much, but he did that consistently the whole game. When you're watching the game, the ball isn't snapped yet, and he's in motion. You're wondering where the flag is. But they left happy, 13-10. My two questions: 55 yards. When was the last time? And 251 yards. When was the last time you won a game with 251 yards? That was a defensive battle that everybody thought was exciting. So that's fine. If you bet the Gophers, though, you lost money.
Phil joins us. Perhaps he can answer those questions.
I mean, that was a slugfest. I don't even know what you would call that last night. That was.
Yeah, it was. Well, yeah, Nebraska's. I was getting things. They can't stop the Nebraska running game. Well, yes, they can. Nebraska didn't have 300 yards. This was not the Nebraska of our youth, fellas. Rule. I didn't realize that he brought in 40 new players, not counting freshmen.
Wow.
40 new players. And they kind of operated like a team that had 40 new players, but the Gophers had a lot of good players. I think there's hope for the freshman, for the quarterback. Is he officially a freshman or is he a sophomore now?
Manis? I think
he's been here 3 years now, right? So he's already his COVID year is.
I don't know, the players that went through the COVID era, I never know what class they are. Like, are you like a 9th year senior? Are you still like a freshman with some classification? I have no idea.
I think he's got a chance. He's a good athlete, much better, obviously, than Tanner. But he was bad for about 3-4 straight series the second half when Nebraska looked like they might actually win one of these. If you're a Nebraska fan, though, you got to be going nuts. What is it? Scott Frost lost. They've lost some one possession games like 17 in 2 years or something like that.
It was like not. I think the graphic they put up on Fox in the second half was some like 9 last year alone that they lost.
Yeah, the one possession games. Yes, and I did see Rule at one point. Really, he had to call that timeout over there, and he was very upset with what play his offensive coordinator was trying to send into the game. So it's going to take him a while. That's for sure. That does not look like a team that's a threat. Last year of the West, though, this is the last big chance. So you start 1-0. And the thing about Fleck, despite my difficulties with his personality, his teams have a tendency to get better. So
they do. They oddly, and sometimes they just oddly play to the level of who they're playing, and then they pull it off in the end.
I still think they lost that Iowa game because they didn't try to win it last year. I mean, you're playing. Iowa's got great defense, yes, but don't play into their hands when they have god-awful offense. They had one of the worst offenses in America. Don't turn it into a slugfest with them. Go up and get the game moving a little bit. But he at his soul, he's kind of a conservative offensive guy. This kid will maybe change that a little bit for him. But right. Figured out how to win, and Nebraska figured out how to lose. So
it was festive on campus yesterday.
Everybody seemed to have a good time. Yeah, it wasn't as much as red as I thought. What, maybe 8,000?
I think it was over 10,000 red.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the upper levels were very, very much Nebraska fans.
The great thing, though, visually, was that you're always looking at the closed end zone, right? And that was all Gopher students, and that was
the students, and of course it's like freshman orientation week, and so it's all the freshmen are away from home. We're gonna go to the game, and then they started to thin out in like the third quarter.
Really?
Maybe they're just being responsible because they've got to get up early for class tomorrow.
Yeah, but I don't think classes start till Tuesday either. So I think they wanted to go drink. But
yeah,
did they let
they can't drink in the stadium?
Give the freshmen a ticket? They didn't have to sell this game out by giving the freshmen a ticket, did they?
I don't know if they make freshmen. I think they've always made freshmen pay, unless this was like a special.
But they used to when they had the clinker for the opener. The one that wasn't going to draw any people. They would give them a ticket for the when they registered for the opener. But they probably did that next week. Probably Eastern Michigan. You probably got your free ticket for that one.
Yeah.
So.
It's always funny, like when Nebraska fans or some of these, so they come to the big city,
Yeah.
And I was just like even downtown yesterday. It was like 1:00 in the afternoon, and there's just Husker fans with their Husker shirts and hats roaming around the big city, looking for some, I don't know, Miller Lite or whatever they drink. I don't know.
I'm sure it was good for the local steakhouses on Friday night, right?
Oh, yeah.
That had to be good. And Murray's and Ruth's Chris and all the joints downtown had to do pretty well for it.
Is Ruth's Chris still open over there?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty, yeah.
It's a great spot. It's like kind of off in its own little sector, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. You can show up there, though, and the wife can have like a drink, maybe two, and then you can have the crab cake appetizer, and then you can get up to $3 pretty damn quick there with two people.
Yeah.
I would expect so. Yeah.
With two people, when one of them doesn't drink, is you can get 300 pretty quick.
Yeah.
Are Nebraska natives going? Are they like me? Are they going with a rare steak, or do they want that thing cooked pretty thoroughly?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what they're farmers, so
yeah, I know.
They're rural types. Although Omaha's supposedly a going town these days, and Lincoln is.
It's a cool place.
I don't know what Lincoln's right, but I don't know what Lincoln's like, but. They're still loyal, but they're getting a little old. Some of those customers are getting a little old. They're going to have to turn around here pretty quick to think back to any of the glory days. It is just so crazy to think that the Big Ten, as we know it, this is it.
Well, yeah,
right?
And then this morning, the ACC just offered the stragglers, Stanford and Cal. So now
and SMU,
yeah.
How are they going to afford to play in that conference? How can you send your other sports teams out there?
Three time zones every game.
I think you're going to have to come up with a different, unless it's like football or basketball. I don't know that this is sustainable now. Is Rutgers really going to go to USC or? For baseball?
If it just does football, why didn't they just make it? These are our football conferences now, and we're going to share our wealth with our other programs on campus. Football is going to share its wealth, but the football conferences are going to be completely different than everybody else. It might end up being that way. I don't know. It's not. It's ridiculous. So it looks like Washington State and Oregon State are then stuck going to the Mountain West, I would think.
That's fine. That's right. They don't need. They're not like big good programs.
They don't get any money. Washington. It's
be better. Washington State.
Them up there. It's a damn good
they're like
thing.
irrelevant programs. I mean, they're just
They have given us no hint as to who we're going to play in the future, what it's going to look like. They're apparently not going to have divisions. So
yeah, well, they don't even I suppose when all of a sudden all these schools just fall in your lap, like it's to schedule and all the stuff. It's a big undertaking.
I think Big Ten football now, with the addition of more schools, eventually is going to have to break into divisions of some sort. I don't think that you can put everyone together.
You know what they're going to try to have? Conference playoffs before. They're going to try to have a 4-team. So they're going to get these guys up to about 17 games a year if they go to the end.
That's fine.
7, Oh yeah. Let's hell yeah.
Just don't go to class. Just don't make them go to class.
But they should
meanwhile, we're still doing TV for these college kids who are now NIL and transfers. We're still kissing their ass every time we say something. Oh, this Sims just lost the game. Okay, say that. Well, they kind of screwed up on their transfers, this year's guy. If they're going to tie their wagon to this guy, let's start treating them like the professionals that they are. Okay, instead of still do the same old claptrap on the broadcast that we have to smooch up and be kind to them because they're college guys. They're not. They're now pros.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
I will say that. I don't know if all of this is sustainable, but I feel the most terrible for the Big Ten graphic designer, man. Like that, whoever that was, 25 years ago, they cleverly were like, okay, we got 11 teams now. What if I superimpose a 1 inside the 10? And then and then they were doing I think then they had the BIG was one at one point. Now I don't even know what you do now. you can't keep calling it the Big Ten when there's 63 teams in it, right?
Oh, they're going to.
But you're not going to call it the Big 18, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys know that back before Michigan State was admitted, after the University of Chicago dropped out, and the Michigan State was admitted in 46 or something like that, 47. It was the Big Nine. It was the Big Nine for about. Now this was before my time, but my history tells me that I think Chicago stopped playing football in the mid 30s, and for a decade or so, it was the Big Nine. We went by numbers back then. The numbers of teams reflected the numbers of. The number of your title reflected the number of teams you had. What a concept.
Yeah.
Just make it a big dollar sign now.
Yeah,
Just a big, huge dollar sign with the amount of teams in there. Hey, Royce,
Yes.
how about the Guardians? What? Not one, not two, but three guys off waivers.
I love it. They get all three of them. And my son, Chris, the baseball guy, says this is a tribute to the utter stupidity of baseball, where every other place, if you claim somebody on waivers, then you go to the bottom of the.
Yeah.
Of the,
why can you claim all of them?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you take your pick, and then the next team, up gets a poise everywhere else. But in baseball, if you're the worst team that puts in a claim, you get them, and it doesn't make any difference. What is interesting though is I was wrong. The Yankees didn't want anybody. The Yankees have given her up, and
They're too far back. Yeah.
I just saw that the ESPN odds, which are not 100% accurate, but the Yankees, they already had a 2% chance to make the playoffs. So that's not too. Although the Twins yesterday morning were 91%, I would say it's about 70 now after what Cleveland did. Right. Plus, I actually looked this up and kind of tweeted it out. This 3-game series in Texas, they're underdogs. We don't talk about underdogs in baseball, but you got Scherzer versus a slumpy Joe Ryan tonight. Scherzer's a minus 160, so you got to bet 160 to make 100 on him. Then you got Keuchel against that lefter Montgomery, who's been pretty good, and then you got Maeda, who was god awful his last time out, against that John Gray, who was pretty good. So they're going to be underdogs 3 straight games. They go down and get swept by Texas. Ooh, man.
Yeah, they should be able to score if they can get to the bullpen. They should be able to put up a couple crooked numbers here and there.
You got to get to the bullpen against Texas, but they're going to be they're underdogs all weekend, that's for sure. And it certainly made things interesting. And if you're a Cleveland fan, you got to say, wait a minute here, we gave up August 1st. What happened? Well, what happened is they saw the Twins, and they said, wait a minute, what are we doing? We might as well try. Plus, it doesn't cost them any money. It costs them a month for each guy, right?
It's genius. So they pick up prospects at the deadline, and they're still hanging around. And so I wonder if did the way that those if the Twins would have won the matinee game. I mean, I think the waivers were. I think they put the claims in before that.
I guess they did have. You're right. They had to put it. They had to put in the claim. Well, no, you
Tuesday.
got until Thursday. You got until 3 days. So they could have waited till Wednesday to put in the claim.
Yeah, I wonder if the Twins had swept
you're
them,
right.
would they have put the claims in?
Well, if the Twins just win Wednesday and it's 7, do they claim all these guys? Maybe not. But they probably said to themselves, what the hell? We did everything we could to lose this game, and they still beat it, and then we still won it. So let's give it a shot. What the heck? So
interesting.
Anyway,
all right.
I'm heading out to the state amateur baseball tournament Saturday in Litchfield, and the odd situation of the St. Patrick is this little tiny town down the road from Prior Lake. It's got a Catholic church, about 2 buildings, and a ballpark. And they're playing, because they got moved up to Class B for some reason, they're playing the Minnetonka Millers at 11 a.m. on on Saturday in Litchfield. So talk about big versus small. This is something.
Well, we'll be reading your live tweets of the state amateur baseball tournament, or your live
All right.
X posts, however you
All
say it.
righty. I want to know when the last time the Gophers had 55 yards, and I don't want to have to go through every box score to see it. So somebody let me know, okay?
All right.
See ya.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week. Maybe Declan can look that up. Royce Unchained, presented by Power Lodge and Miller Marine. So we're transitioning here at some point. It's going to be 100 degrees in the next couple days, so it's still Bennington pontoon season, but on the horizon, maybe it's ATV snowmobile season for you. Power Lodge, Brainerd Ramsey, Anamia, Sauk Rapids, and Miller Marine in St. Cloud has you covered. MillerMarine.com and PowerLodge.com.